Today's podcast guest is Diane Napper with Taurus Moon Graphics. And Diane's a longtime friend, networker, and business owner. She's originally from Philadelphia and attended an all-girls high school and graduated from American University, and now 30 years in Minnesota and 20 years in business. And she's seen a lot in her 20 years. Today, we are discussing a lot of controversial things that we rarely talk about on the AGC Experience podcast, like politics. And because Diane is running for State Senate District 63 for Southeast Minneapolis, she shares her views on the recent death of George Floyd. She shares equality and what it's like to be a women-owned business and a minority-owned business, and really what the issues that she's running on, like faith, family, and education. We dig into accountability and what it takes to be successful as a business owner in today's world, especially coming out of COVID-19, where you got to get creative and you got to be work a little bit more diligently to have success in your business.
My name's Travis Sims, and I am the founder and CEO of AGC Accelerated Global Connections, and this is the AGC Experience.
Banner season. It's about mailboxes, not inboxes. Building better relationships has never been easier. Using our platform, you can easily send a card and personalized gift to anyone with a simple tap or click, or fully automated. Stop the digital overload and do something that will mean so much more. Banner season is the easiest way to wow people and the way for you to really get their attention. Develop stronger relationships, increase revenue, and improve your retention. You know you've reached an entirely new level when you inspire customer referrals and you don't have to consistently ask for them. For more information, contact Bo Young at 320-249-1576.
All right, I'm super excited today for our guest on the AGC Experience podcast show, Diane Napper. And Diane has been a friend of mine for a little over 4 years now. And I'm super excited to interview you here today. And before we get into the interview, I want to say to our listeners, to our people who are watching on YouTube and so on, thank you. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm super excited because you, our audience, is what's spreading this podcast across the country and across the world. You are sharing us everywhere. I mean, you're like sending us our podcast in links. You're saying, hey, listen here, this has got good value. They're interviewing amazing people. And it's because of you that we are growing. So we want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for hitting that subscribe button and telling others about us. And today we have this fantastic guest. Again, Diane, you've been a longtime friend. I'm super excited. You're a successful person. You've just been someone I've enjoyed getting to know over a few years. I can't wait to share you with our audience. Diane Napper, you are with Taurus Moon Graphics. You're running for office. I mean, you've got so much going on in your life. Thank you for taking the time to do this interview. And tell us a little bit about you. Give us some background. Share with our audience, for people that don't know you as well as I do, a little bit more about you, and we'll go from there.
Okay, well, I was born and raised in Philadelphia. I went to the only all-girls public high school in the country. My mother also attended that school. It was a great experience. From there, I went to American University in Washington, D.C., and met a guy from the Midwest, and that's how I wound up in Minnesota. I've been here for a little over 30 years, and I love it. So, I miss my family sometimes, but I love Minnesota and I love Minneapolis. Worked in some corporate jobs. That's how I kind of got my start in the graphic design field. And then in 2002, went out on my own, started my own company, Taurus Moon Graphic Design. And it's a blast. I love taking information and images and putting them together to make it look like something people want to read. So.
Oh, that's awesome. I can't help but think, and this is been my experience. I grew up in Indiana, small little country town, and then I moved inside Indiana a handful of times, and I went to the big city of Indiana, which is Indianapolis. The big city of Indiana, but still a small city considering. And then on to Minneapolis, and I can't help but think when you move a bit, when you have some different life experiences, it allows you to, I think, be more diverse in how you treat people, in how you do business with people, and you learn so many new experiences just from having traveled a little bit and being around different cultures and being around different businesses and so on. And so Philadelphia, I've only got a chance to ever visit Philadelphia one time, and I remember this especially because I had just lost. I was on a path to lose 100 pounds, and I was 80 pounds down at that very moment. And I recorded the video, and I still have this, but I started out on the Philadelphia Bridge, and I walked from there all the way through the city, all the way through all the monuments and history and the beautiful, all the buildings, and up and did the stairs with the Rocky statue. And, it was just it's one of those things I'll always remember. And then I got there and I was like, well, I guess I'll walk back now. So I did it, and I don't remember how many miles it was, but I certainly beat my average of the day. And I stopped and grabbed a Philly cheesesteak on the way back as a reward. So that's my memories of Philadelphia.
It's a great city. I do love visiting. The history there is just amazing.
Yeah, the Liberty Bell is in Philadelphia, right?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Independence Hall. Yeah, a lot of history. I mean, birthplace of our nation. So
yes.
It's a great place to visit. I highly recommend it. And it's a really green city. You wouldn't think that necessarily. And I believe they've got one of the largest park systems outside of New York City in Philadelphia. So I've got my special place that I like to go, where I used to go with my mom to walk. And it's just calming and peaceful and beautiful. So.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. And you said an all-girls high school. What is that like? I mean, I can't even begin to think or relate to that, being separated from, in my case would have been a boys' school versus a boys and girls school. How is that? Was this like a religious school or?
Nope, it was a public school.
Okay.
I believe it was founded in like 1848. And there was an all-boys school just down the street. So the guys would come hang out on the steps with the girls before school and after school.
Yeah.
But I think what made it unique, or what made it special, was the friendships that I developed. There was something to be said for not having to be worried about saying something stupid in front of a guy in class,
Oh, sure.
And it was an academic preparatory school, so they focused on all the things you need to go to college. I was in the choir. I participated in some of the plays that they put on. And we actually just celebrated our 35th, what's it called? Anniversary of our graduation. And one of our classmates put together a Zoom call. So I think there are about 40 of us on the call. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Love that. Well, that's fantastic. Getting to know you a little bit, again, just being, I think, high cultured and having Philadelphia all girls school, American University, and you met. Is it your husband today that I know that you met? Was it at university?
No, not him.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm on my second also. First just recently, and we're getting ready to celebrate our first year of marriage coming up in September. So
yes.
Yeah. And your husband today, how long have you been married to him?
We have been married. 2006 we got married. So
2006. Okay.
14 years. It'll be 14 years in October.
Wow, that's a huge accomplishment in today's world. I mean, it really is. It just, used to, like my grandparents married like 50 years or something, but in today's world, that doesn't happen as often. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, no, that's awesome. 14 years, congratulations. So
Yeah. Thank you.
yeah. So you have a lot going on. Not only you're a business owner and you're in, and that's how I really know you. We've met through doing networking over the years, and we've got to work together on some projects. And I'm happy and proud to say that you've done some projects for me in and outside of AGC. And it's you've always just you deliver responsibly fast. You're always on point. Like everything you do is so clean and crisp and just professional. It's like you know what to do, and I don't know how you do that, but you know what to do. And so I've seen you do quite a few projects for people and always do a great job. Where did that eye come from? Where did you really just discover your love for artwork and putting things together like that?
I think from my dad, actually. He
Okay.
was responsible for putting together the church bulletin every week. And so I kind of learned that process. And I remember when there would be special events, he'd be up late at night with the transfer letters and the ruler to get them straight. And so that was kind of my first look at that. And all my life, I've just been interested in that kind of thing. I'm paying attention to like cereal boxes on commercials and recognizing that the box they use to film the commercial isn't the same box that they have on the shelf. I pointed that out to my mother one time, and she said, "I never thought about that." So, it's just fun. I just enjoy it. And when I fell into it, just became something that I became very passionate about. And so I love what I do, and I love that I can put together a piece that's clean and crisp and professional. And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I can give you like chicken scratches and an outline, and you bring it back to me, and it's like all this beautiful laid out artwork, and I'm like, oh, how did you know? That's what I was looking for, you know? So Taurus Moon Graphics, how long have you been in business?
I started in 2002.
Okay.
So quite a while. And it's just
you've seen some differences in how things are produced, I would imagine, in that amount of time.
Yes, because when I started in the mid 90s, digital printing was fairly new. Computers were fairly new that people were using to put things together. So I'm fortunate that I was able to learn about the traditional printing process. I think that's one of the things that helps me in my design work, because I kind of design with the end in mind. So I've been told by printers that, you know, my work comes to them so clean, they don't have to make any changes or corrections, and they get stuff from other designers that's just a mess. And so I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah, you should be. I have to ask about the name too, Taurus Moon Graphics. Where does that come from? Because it's a unique name.
It is. So I'm a Taurus. It's my zodiac sign, and I like the moon, and I was just kind of playing around, doodling, and put it together and thought, hey, I think I'll go with this.
Well, that's awesome. I'm also a Taurus, so our birthdays are really close together. So
yes.
That's awesome. Excellent. So I want to fast forward, because you not only have been in business for yourself since 2002, but you've got some pretty big things coming up this year. I mean, you're stepping out in some new territory, and you're running for state senate, District 63 in Southeast Minneapolis. When did you decide that, like, okay, I'm going from business owner to politician, and what, I mean, I guess, you know, because people have asked me at different times, because, you know, I do a lot of public speaking, and I'm in a lot of the public eye. I have a big reach for a lot of people. Travis, have you ever considered running for office? And it's like, nah, it's not my thing. I don't know that I would want to do that. But you said yes. So how did that come about? Give us the story.
So I really became more involved in or following politics for the last 10 to 15 years, pretty much when I met my husband, because he was a Republican and I was not at the time. So The turning point for me in choosing a different party was actually when he bought the book Up From Slavery by Booker T. Washington for me. And I just thought if someone could sleep underneath a sidewalk just for the opportunity to sweep the floors of a school and then go on to found Tuskegee Institute, I was pretty impressed by that. And I just felt that the Republican Party speaks more to that personal responsibility and, how you present yourself and how you work for yourself and not asking for handouts and things like that. So earlier this year, I was told that my district was looking for someone to run, and I thought, why not? I mean, people have asked me over the years, and I always said no, and then it came, they needed someone, so I thought, why not go for it? It's good to have different experiences and not get stuck in a rut sometimes. So I'm looking forward to campaigning, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think you bring a lot, and it's not a surprise to me that people have asked you over the time about running. You bring certain perspectives that not every candidate is going to have, and especially from all of your years as a self-employed, small business owner, as well as you're a female, you're African American, and you have a Caucasian husband.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so you can't get any more diverse than that. You really have the ability to see something from multiple views, from different walks and perspectives. And I think that's important, especially now, especially right in this time. And I'm just going to be honest with our audience for a moment, if I can. We recorded a podcast together. I don't know, it was probably 6-8 weeks ago now. And then so much has changed in the world in a matter of 6 to 8 weeks. And we got a second opportunity, my fault, by the way, to record this because it didn't transfer, and it got lost and this and that. So we got a second opportunity to record that. And I can't help but think that was meant to be, and maybe to give you a voice to share some of these things. And so I want to hear from your thoughts and your words, just some of the things that I touched on, having that diversity in your background, because, one of the things that, and I'll get ready to let you share in a moment, but the thing that I'm really proud about in AGC is that we have diversity in our membership. Networking, I've been in the industry for 15 years, and networking has been very much a white male world. It just has, not always, but I'm saying it dominantly so. One of the things that I love about AGC is that we have about 50% female, 50% male, which is almost unheard of, which I love that. And then, of course, we have people of color, and we have LGBTQ and so on. But I would like to know from you, with having that diversity in your background, what do you think that you bring to the office that's unique, different?
I think just the ability to listen to different points of view and try to bring people together to compromise. The state's been run by the same party for over 40 years, and I think it's time that we have a different voice, a fresh voice. And so I want to be that person, and I want to be able to make my community better by, the laws that get passed. I honestly think we've got too many laws. So one thing I'd like to do is maybe get rid of some.
So you're more of a fan of listening to the people than deciding what the people want.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah. And you said that, of course, we're recording in Minnesota, and you're in Minneapolis, and you're running in the District 63 of Southeast Minneapolis. And, not being from Minneapolis or Minnesota, I came from a Republican state of Indiana. It's very much red, traditionally red. And then I come to Minnesota, and it's tends to vote Democratic, tends to vote blue, and so on. And so you're on that Republican ticket, which is different from probably the people who's held the office previous to you. Is that right?
That is correct. My opponent has had that office since 2006. So I think that's a really long time to be in office.
Yeah. You have an advantage because we have a primary coming up in August, right?
Yep,
And you're running unopposed.
yes, I am, which is
So
nice.
that's exciting.
Yes. I got the GOP endorsement, and yeah, it's pretty exciting to be a part of it, and especially now with so many things going on in the world. So I think for the challenge.
Awesome. And Diane, when you said everything going on in the world, and everyone's eyes right now are on Minneapolis because we're at the epicenter of change. It didn't come about in the right way, but what's may come from this could be historical. And I'm speaking to the death of George Floyd, and then all the protesting that's come from it, and not just our state. We started that here, but now there are peaceful protests happening all over the country and even in other countries, which is awesome. And then, of course, you've lived pretty close to some of the areas that have where there's not necessarily been peaceful protests, but even physical damage and rioting and all those things. Do you have any thoughts that you'd like to share just from living close to it, having this happen near your neighborhood, and from someone running an office and someone of color?
Yeah, it's the whole thing was tragic. The death of George Floyd was unbelievably tragic, and I'm glad that people started to come together to figure out how we never let that happen again. I hope the officers who are responsible are punished. And I've never been in a situation so close to that much violence in the streets, and smelling my city on fire for 3 days was really just awful. Hearing the helicopters at night, hearing explosions and gunshots and all of that. So I think that something is going to be different as a result of this. And I do want it to be peaceful. How do we help the police do a better job of policing? Going back to reducing the number of laws that we have, that, if we reduce the number of laws, that helps people not break them. So,
Sure.
Just how can we make things better? How can we get to the root causes of crime? Because that's where it starts. I mentioned the other day that I've been looking at society as a three-legged stool of faith, family, and education. And I think if we can get those things right, then our society will be much better off. So that's what I'd like to do.
I can't help but agree with that. I love that you shared that with me. Faith, family, and education. I mean, what great cornerstones to build on. I mean, really, you have faith in something, and whether that's a higher power or spiritual thoughts, or just the faith in myself and the faith in the people around me that I can make a difference, or that you can accomplish some things. And then family. I mean, I look at. I try, I'm a parent, and my son's grown now, and I have grandkids, and now I'm telling my age. However, I every time I look at someone, I was like, that's someone's child there. Even if they're grown, that's someone's kid.
Yeah.
And so faith and family and education is always, I think, a turning point, whether it's we're seeking education or we're receiving education from life, from schools, from whatever, but we have the opportunity to learn from everything. Just like, you started out learning in that all girls school in high school, and then going on to college, and then saying, hey, I'm going into business for myself. And, I didn't go to college. And people ask me all the time, so what, they just assume, they're like, so what college did you go to, Travis? And so actually, I didn't go to college. And, I went to college of hard knocks, which means that, I started out life at 17 years old, married, and a baby on the way. And I learned a lot through that experience.
Right.
And so, yeah, education, the willingness to learn, the needing to learn from past mistakes and how to correct them in the future. And wow, you're on the path of learning new things now as you run for office for the first time. So
yeah, it's something, but it's fun. And I think one of the keys to life is just enjoying the ride. If you can, like you said, we're all going to make mistakes, and if you can learn from them, that's the most important thing, so that you're not repeating them over and over again. But yeah, life's too short to not enjoy the ride. So
yeah, what are your thoughts? I can't help but ask this, and it's okay if you tell me no too. By the way, anytime throughout this interview. But the on the police reform, and we're hearing a lot saying that we should abolish the police, or we should do those things. Do you have any thoughts on that at all?
I completely disagree with that idea. We're a nation of laws. We have to have law and order in our society to be civil. And do we need to do things differently? Do we need more training? I certainly agree with things like eliminating the qualified immunity, and having a database so that, bad cops don't get transferred from one department to another, so that, people know what they've done. There's got to be more of a punishment for that. Even though they enforce the law, they don't get to be lawless.
Yeah.
So
really what you're talking about is accountability, right? We're accountability to ourselves and for our own actions, whether you wear a badge or don't. We're accountable for the people that we represent, which also goes back to you're running for office, and people in office are accountable to the people who voted for them.
Right.
That for you to carry through the things that you said that you're running on, right? So I love accountability. It's one of the things that everyone says they want. No one wants once it's there, right? And so, but I'm actually speaking on accountability tomorrow. That's a topic that I'll be sharing in my mastermind group. So accountability is a good thing. And my wife's brother, so my brother-in-law, is a police officer out in Washington. And they're a wonderful family. It's him and his wife is a nurse, and then they have two beautiful young children. So you got two families who signed up to serve. I really think that there's more good in the world than there is bad. I just have to believe that. I
agree. I think, and I think with the 24/7 news cycle, we're seeing things that are happening, but they're only happening in a few places. I think the rest of the country is just fine. I think the rest of the world is just fine. There's going to be bad things that happen everywhere, but by and large, people are good people. They care about each other, and yeah.
The news loves ratings, and ratings are full of things that are happening in the world that get headlines.
Right.
And so you have to look beyond headlines to find the positive in life.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious from you, Diane, what do you do to keep yourself, grounded and peaceful? And what are the things that make you happiest in life?
But believe it or not, I love to watch crime dramas.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I think it's because I know it's not real. So, and that I got from my dad too. Growing up, he always watched like Barnaby Jones and Kojak and things like that. So, the other thing I like to do is be out in nature. I like to take walks in the neighborhood. I have a favorite bench that I like to go sit on and just listen to the birds. I love hearing nature. I love waking up super early in the morning and hearing the birds chirping. And so, yeah, it's things like that, or reading. And I think the biggest thing I do is just remember to be grateful every day.
Mm.
I'm grateful that I woke up.
Yes.
Everybody can say that. So if I do try to maintain that attitude of gratitude, and I think that is one of the things that helps keep me calm as well.
Yes, I love it. I want to also, because that leads me, I just think you're awesome, and those kind of things are really helpful, especially for our audience. Our audience that's listening is made up a lot of business owners, salespeople, CEOs, executives, entrepreneurs, small businesses, and having that attitude of gratitude that you shared. Is a great way to start the day, a great way to end the day. If you do that, the things in the middle are so much better. What do you have any advice for, because you've been in business for 18 years?
Yeah.
And so do you have any advice for people just starting out in business? What if, like, because right now, COVID-19, we're like almost 4 months in, and there are going to be, I predict coming out of this era that there will be more new startups than any other time in the country, preceded by the recession, the last recession, because there's going to be lots of layoffs, there's going to be lots of bankruptcies, there's going to be tons of, every day I'm seeing like JCPenney's closed 13 more stores, Chuck E. Cheese filing for bankruptcy. I'm seeing, what was the other one I saw the other day, the nutrition place, GNC, also closing multiple stores and bankruptcy and all this stuff. So you see that, and then you think about all the mass layoffs that are coming from that. And I know that, first of all, that is hard right now. I've been in a spot where, I'm what I do is not considered essential, and I've worked every single day. I'm just not getting paid at the moment. Coming on the outside of COVID-19, there will be more new business startups than ever before, because people will be hungry to work and people may not be hiring. And so it causes people to get creative. It causes people to do new different things. So what advice do you have for, new business owners, and especially with your graphic design background, and people are trying to decide, what am I going to name my business? And, what's the logo going to look like? And, all this stuff. But what's your advice for new people?
I would say, make sure that whatever you do, it's something that you really love doing. That's half the battle. The other thing would be, save up as much as you can before you start, so that you can hire professionals to give you the things that you need, like a logo or someone to keep your books, or things like that.
Yeah. Awesome. Great advice. Matter of fact, I'm certain by this point in the podcast, people that have been listening to you, people that are watching you right now, and they're going, you know what, Diane does seem like an awesome person. She's got a wealth of experience in your lifetime, and they want to get to know you better. They want to follow you and find out more about you. Or maybe they're in District 63 and they're like, hey, I could vote for her, and I want to learn more about that. How do we find out more information about Diane Napper?
So you can go to my website, which is taurusmoongraphics.com. Or send me an email to Diane@taurusmoongraphics.com. I've got samples of my work there, and I'm happy to share, more work if people are looking for a designer to hire. I had more than 20 years of experience, so I kind of know what I'm doing. And then if you are interested in learning more about my campaign, you can go to my campaign website, which is nappermn63.com. And I talk about the things I'm running for, and give them a little bit of my background. And there's a donate button if people want to donate. So,
yeah. Yep. And Diane, too, you've got an email for that campaign as well. So if someone wants to shoot you an email, how would they do that?
They can send it to DianeNapper2020@gmail.com.
Awesome. Diane, I want to thank you for your experience. I want to thank you for your bravery. I want to thank you for just be willing to represent people. You know, it does take someone brave to do that, you know, because there are many of us, myself that included, that are like, you know what, I don't know that I'm the one for office. I might have some views, I might have some thoughts, but I would rather back the person, you know, that I think would do a great job. And that we get to do that when we vote. And so if you're watching this podcast, if you're listening to this podcast right now, and you probably know, especially if you are a subscription listener, like you listen every single Monday that a podcast drops, you know that we're a podcast that really doesn't touch a lot on hot buttons. We don't touch on politics, and we don't touch on religion or life views or any of those things, because we're very a business focused podcast. However, as business owners, as salespeople, as entrepreneurs, we have to pay attention to what's happening in our world around us. It affects how we do business. It affects our families that we're all working so hard for. It also, you know, affects how we are represented in Congress and in our states on tax laws, and, you know, all the things that really do affect our bottom line. And so all I'll say is this, and I'll say, when you have the opportunity to vote, let your voice be heard, no matter what that is, no matter how you're voting, no matter who you're endorsing, any of those things, you have a chance to let your voice be heard. And it shows up at the polls, and it's your chance to drop that vote. And Diane, I see you shaking your head all over this.
Yeah.
So you must agree, right?
Do 100%. That is our voice. Our vote is our voice. And if we don't use it, someone else will steal it from us. So.
Yes. Well, awesome. Diane, I want to say thank you for being on the show. You've been an excellent guest. I'm so glad we got a second chance at this. I really think, not that the other interview was not good, but I think we really touched on some things that will help a lot of people here. So thanks again. And if you're listening or watching, I want to say thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you for hitting the subscribe button. I want to thank you for sharing. I want to send a special thank you out to our sponsors as well. You guys help us keep this thing open and running, and being able to drop a new podcast every Monday. So thank you for that. If you're interested in sponsoring the AGC Experience podcast, please reach out to us, and we'd love to help you get your brand in front of the hundreds and thousands of listeners that are checking us out every single week. So Diane, thanks again. Until next time, the AGC Experience podcast show.
Thanks, Travis.